Hey guys, and welcome to whatever the hell is behind me. So, what makes a sneaker controversial? Maybe it's because of the designer, or the design of the shoe, or maybe the history of the shoe. Throughout the years, we have seen many controversial sneakers, whether it be from all those three different ways that makes it controversial. But in today's video, I really wanted to go in depth with all the controversial sneakers that I found on the internet and tell you guys why they are controversial in the first place. I know there are plenty of videos like this on YouTube, but wanted to go ahead and do my own list and show off a lot more sneakers that, in my opinion, are controversial compared to what others have said. There's quite a bit of sneakers that I want to talk about, so let's get on with it. If you guys have any other controversial sneakers that you have in mind that should belong on this list, just comment down below and would love to have a discussion with you guys. Starting off with Adidas, we have Jeremy Scott's Shackled sneakers. Jeremy Scott, he is basically one of Adidas's most experimental designers, particularly for his Wing series collaboration with Adidas Originals. And he created a stir with the Adidas Roundhouse Mid handcuff sneakers. These sneakers, nicknamed the Shackled sneakers, was meant to display a handcuff type design on top of the Roundhouse Mid, but looking at the shoe, of course, it gained some controversy. While it was intended to be a playful design by Jeremy Scott, a lot of people looked at it with reference to African slavery, and Adidas in response clarified that there was no association with slavery when it comes to this shoe, while highlighting Jeremy Scott's reputation to be a lighthearted and quirky designer. But despite this, Adidas ultimately canceled the release of the shoe, and there's that. Now we have the Heineken SB Dunks. I think this dunk really clarifies that Nike is really tone deaf with their designs. The shoe being an unofficial collaboration between Nike and the beer company, it sported the same green of the Heineken logos, even including the red star that's in a bunch of Heineken designs. However, Heineken did not approve of this design and immediately sent over a cease and desist, which led to the shoe's removal from store shelves. As a result, the Heineken SB became a collector's item, and there were rumors last year that Nike was going to re-release or even release a 2.0 version of the shoe, but it was later debunked by Nike themselves. In essence of all this, I think Nike should go ahead and find a deal with Heineken to create a 2.0 version of the shoe. I think that the whole history about the shoe and the fact that this major company got involved, I think that Nike should just go ahead and create a 2.0 shoe, come up with a deal with Heineken, and just bring this whole situation full circle. I think it would be a good thing by Nike themselves. So now the Ari Menthol 10s. The shoe's history is quite remarkable. Ari Style Foreman, a sneaker enthusiast and graphic designer originally from Los Angeles, then eventually moved to New York City, was heavily influenced by Newport's aggressive advertising campaigns, particularly in African American communities. He was also deeply involved with sneaker culture, and he was fascinated by brands like Nike and also Bape by Nigo, with how Bape was creating their own version of the Air Force Ones, the Bapestas, and how basically they kind of got away with it at the time. Then Ari had an interest in designing his own sneaker, but he wanted to do it in a different way compared to all these brands. He wanted to create a case study and wearable art just to explain the two similarities with these brands. Funny enough, with his graphic design career, he worked with both Nike and Newport. This led to the creation of the Ari Menthol 10s. The sneaker, resembling the Air Force One in design, incorporated color schemes from Newport cigarette packaging with a gum sole to mimic a cigarette butt. He even altered the Nike logo with his own Ari logo. The Spinnaker logo from Newport, which looks like an upside down Nike swoosh, is incorporated in the shoe. The sneaker became a cult classic with only 252 pairs released, and they were sold out rapidly over in New York. Each pair came with a provocative tag, which read, "This sneaker is dedicated to the two brands who have taken the most and given the least, Thanks for the motivation. Now it's our turn. However, its success became short-lived as Nike went ahead and sent over a cease and desist letter. Newport took a more aggressive stance to this whole situation. They demanded damages and were contesting the amount of pairs that were actually sold. After a lengthy legal battle, the sneakers were banned and ordered to be destroyed. As part of his settlement, Ari was told to not speak about the shoe and not even own a pair of the shoes. The story resurfaced in a Vice documentary, which I will link in the description below. I think it's a very interesting story, and they definitely have more details when it comes to this whole sneaker release. Now, the more disappointing sneaker in this list, in my opinion, the Trophy Room 1s. The story of the Trophy Room Jordan 1 was a collaboration between the store Trophy Room, owned by Michael Jordan's son, Marcus Jordan, and obviously Jordan Brand. This design is a rework of the Jordan 1s, especially the Chicago colorway, and it was made to symbolize Jordan being frozen out of the 1985 All-Star Game. It was just limited to 12,000 pairs, and the release was mired in controversy ever since its initial leak. The release process was filled with difficulties and ambiguity, which frustrated a lot of sneakerheads. There was only two main ways of purchasing the sneaker, one through the Sneakers app and the other through the Trophy Room's official website. The sneakers release was notably vague, and it was only done through an exclusive access promotion, so only a limited amount of people were able to get it. But it was later shown that there were only a limited amount of sneakers available through that drop, and that claim later was corroborated by a Nike source speaking with Complex. Now, Trophy Room's online raffle was a totally different story. The website crashed after the raffle went live, and they eventually went on to do an email raffle. However, the details of the email raffle were also very vague. The amount of pairs that were included in the email raffle was unclear, and there were speculations with this email raffle concerning the amount of pairs that were released. There are some Discord groups that are able to look at the amount of pairs that are being sold on a particular website, even including sneakers. And with this online email raffle, they weren't able to look into the stock numbers of the shoe, which then was speculated that a bunch of these sneakers were already backdoored to resellers and early buyers. The logistics of processing all these email raffles also fueled the theories that there were a bunch of pairs that have been backdoored, and that it was a much more simple solution compared to what they had to do later on. There were also further controversies when it came to the blue laces. Early pairs of the sneakers appeared in the market, and Marcus Jordan took notice. He then said that these sneakers were either fakes or people were looting the Memphis warehouse that they eventually came from. However, many people doubted his explanation and his inconsistencies with his statements, which added more skepticism to all this. Marcus's attempt to discredit early pairs as inauthentic with the blue laces did not hold up. I feel like the blue laces were something to protect him, as they weren't in the early pairs of the sneaker. Later on, there was a whole video captured by resellers going to Orlando to purchase the sneakers directly from him, and it was deemed to be authentic because of the packaging that was shown during the video. It came directly from a Nike distribution center. This whole situation never really went away, as Trophy Room is slated to release another Jordan 1 coming out soon. Marcus Jordan really went ahead and deflected blame a lot from this situation. We knew that early pairs came out were authentic, or if they weren't authentic, they were really good pairs. The evidence is clear that there were resellers that bought the shoe early on. There's actual video clips of the sneakers themselves being pulled out of the boxes, and the blue laces were just there to basically save his ass, as early pairs did not come with the blue laces and only released the blue laces as a cover-up. This story really kind of pissed me off. I did a whole background of it during my time in school, and this story just still really irks me. And how he still has a relationship with Jordan Brand, even though he's Michael Jordan's son. I believe he got away with too much, whereas if another store or another company was doing a collaboration with Nike and did the exact same thing, I believe that their ties would have been severed. Now, the Air Max 1 Betsy Ross. This sneaker is very interesting, and I'm surprised it is not in a bunch of people's lists. This sneaker came out back in 2019, or it was supposed to come out in 2019 during 4th of July. It features a similar color scheme to the American flag with red, white, and blue all over it. It is a clean sneaker, but if you look at the heel part of the sneaker, you have the Betsy Ross flag. This flag was created by Betsy Ross back in the 1700s to create a new flag based off of the 13 colonies. It was planned to release on the 4th of July back in 2019, but it was mired in controversy by a lot of figures, including Colin Kaepernick. He criticized the design for its reference to oppression and slavery, and due to the controversy, Nike halted the release and eventually just canceled the release overall. There were some pairs that managed to have gotten out, and the shoe goes for a lot of money. Like I said before, I like the design of the sneaker without the Betsy Ross flag. I think it's a clean looking sneaker. I believe that they should have went ahead and used the modern American flag. I am glad that Nike just went ahead and made a quick response with the sneaker and just went and canceled it. But again, it just goes to show that Nike is really kind of tone deaf with their designs. Next off, we have the Lil Nas X Air Max 97 collaboration with Mischief. Now, with the Air Max 97 included in this collaboration, it is not an official collaboration from Nike themselves. The Lil Nas X Mischief collab offers a design similar to Mischief's previous collab with the Air Max 97, aka the Jesus shoes. The Jesus sneakers featured a lot of things related to Christianity, including the Air Max bubble having holy water in it. And they went ahead and did a 180 and did the Satan shoes, as they're called. This Air Max 97 features an all black color scheme of the shoe with red lettering on it, and the Air Max bubble having a red liquid inside it. It is said by Mischief themselves that there is 1 drop of real human blood in each pair of the sneakers. And like Lil Nas X, this sneaker and Mischief themselves with their whole sneaker catalog only released this to gain controversy, to gain free advertisement. They only did this just to gain a reaction from its consumers. And of course, Nike was not pleased with this alteration of the Air Max 97, and they went ahead and released a cease and desist letter. They went ahead and said that it was done without the approval of Nike and that they're no way related to this project whatsoever. The sneaker released for a retail price of over $1,000, but that price tag was not the reason for its controversy, as everything else related to the sneaker was definitely a part of it. I'm not a big fan of this sneaker. I know the true intentions of this sneaker was to gain a reaction from its consumers, and I think that Mischief really accomplished that in a way, and especially with their future releases after that, they definitely are the meme shoe company that's currently out right now. Now we have another dunk, the Freddy Krueger SB dunks. These dunks are a notable chapter in Nike's history. It was originally part of the horror pack, which included the Jason Voorhees SB Dunk Highs and the Dawn of the Dead Air Trainer 1s. These dunks faced major hurdles with New Line Cinema, the rights holders of Nightmare on Elm Street, and they issued a cease and desist order. Despite this, only a few pairs were able to make it out to skate shops, most importantly one out in Mexico. I think it was reported that they only had like 24 pairs of the sneaker. Interestingly enough, there are several versions of the Freddy Krueger collaboration. These included the Freddy sample, oil stain pairs that were saved by Nike factory employees, an early prototype pair with black splatter instead of red splatter, and the several pairs that were sent out to the skate shop in Mexico. And those specific pairs came with a gold SB box. The oil stain pairs are exceedingly rare. There isn't a set amount of pairs of those oil stain pairs that were reported, but there were quite a significant amount. The rarity of these sneakers was the reason for this controversy. They are highly sought after by sneaker collectors, but the sneakers' repeated appearances in sneaker conventions is the whole reason for this controversy. It has sparked speculation of the authenticity of these pairs that are appearing in these sneaker conventions. The YouTuber Not Tripping has delved into this phenomenon, suggesting that fewer than 12 genuine pairs are currently in the market, yet more are resurfacing at these sneaker conventions. While the design of the shoe is controversial with its collaboration with Nightmare on Elm Street being an unofficial collaboration, the controversy is not so much in its design, but rather the rarity of the sneaker and how there are few pairs out there that may seem to be inauthentic, while the real pairs are very limited in nature. I'm going to link down below the Not Tripping video. I think it's a very interesting video to watch, and it delves into the history of the sneaker as well as its more recent controversies with sneakerheads seeing them at sneaker conventions. Now, the Air Force One experimental Postal Ghost. Just to make this quick and simple, the experimental Postal Ghost is an Air Force One that heavily resembles the marketing and color scheme of the United States Postal Service. Now, USPS did see this sneaker and went ahead and put out a cease and desist letter. However, the resolution of this situation turned out to be positive, as both Nike and USPS reached an agreement, and now those Air Force Ones are an official USPS product. So it's a collaboration that was done afterwards, which is pretty interesting. It's controversial in the fact that Nike keeps on doing this with their designs only to get a reaction, but this time it gained a positive reaction from the USPS. Now we're gonna get into some weirder shoes. Next off, we have the ZO2s. So you guys all must know the Big Baller brand. It was created by LeVar Ball, the father of the Ball brothers, Lonzo, D'Angelo, and LaMelo Ball. Lonzo Ball, being the first of the Ball brothers to go to the NBA, was given a signature shoe from Big Baller brand, the ZO2s. These sneakers, immediately after they were first initially marketed, gained a lot of controversy. First off, it looked like a current Nike Kobe sneaker at the time, and it just was a terrible looking design altogether. It was also listed at $495 on the Big Baller website, but there were reports that this sneaker did not merit this high price whatsoever. Lonzo Ball, in an episode of Josh Hart's Lighthearted podcast, would explain that the sneaker was just not ready for the NBA.
Them ZO2s I was playing in, they was not ready.
They were?
Really?
They were not durable whatsoever, and he had his manager have a backpack filled with 4 different pairs of the sneaker for the 4 quarters of the NBA games that he would play in, because they would just rip apart after every quarter. The ZO2s were eventually replaced by the ZO2 Primes. The ZO2s never made the light of day. They were never released, and people that did pre-order the sneaker were then able to use that for the pre-order of the ZO2 Primes, but there was an option for the consumers to get refunds for the shoe. These sneakers were also mired in controversy, as well as the Lakers were investigated sneaker-related injuries at the time. Lonzo Ball denied these claims of the ZO2 Primes injuring his foot, and the whole sneaker aspect of Big Baller brand kind of faded out. Then LaMelo Ball was drafted later on and was able to secure a deal with Puma to create his own signature sneaker, and Big Baller brand just faded out from there. They never really recovered from anything. They had their own controversies after a while with LeVar Ball and his partner at the time. But yeah, it's basically a very interesting time for the Ball family when it comes to their businesses, but I'm glad that LaMelo Ball was able to kind of break the cycle and create something for himself rather than relying on his own family business. Now we have the Donald Trump sneakers, or better yet, the Never Surrender high tops. They were unveiled at SneakerCon Philadelphia, out of all places, and were sold for $400. It features an all gold design with a American flag around the ankle of the sneaker, and obviously with Trump's big ego, he put a giant T on the side of the sneaker. The sneaker has received mixed reactions, mostly with the aftermath of the sneaker. it being kind of like a friends and family limited pair, there were pairs that were popping up on eBay, and a lot of people were saying that these may not be authentic. This release coincided with a New York judge ordering Trump to pay a $450 million penalty in a civil trial related to fraudulent business practices in New York. So yeah, he basically released an all gold sneaker, and out of all places, it was in a sneaker con in Philadelphia. I remember when they first revealed his appearance at the convention, I was kind of astounded by it. I just didn't think that he would do this. It was not in my 2024 bingo card. I believe this was a way to attract young voters, as he is running for president. However that works for him, it just seems like a weird thing to do, in my opinion.
This is connecting with Black America because they love sneakers. They're into sneakers. They love this is a big deal, certainly in the inner city.
Now, the most controversial sneaker, even though this whole list is not ordered in relations to its controversy, this sneaker, in my opinion, is the most controversial sneaker that I have researched. I don't know if there's anything else that is more controversial than this, but let's get on with it. We have the Nike Decades. This sneaker had a weird association with the Heaven's Gate cult back in the 90s. On March 24th and 25th of 1997, 39 members of the Heaven's Gate cult committed mass suicide in a rented house in an upscale suburb of San Diego. They believed that doing so, they were able to board a UFO that they thought was the Hale-Bopp comet. The eeriest thing about this whole situation was the fact that all the members of this cult were found in matching white and black shirt and sweatpants, as well as one sneaker, the Nike Decades. Now, the most infamous picture out of all this controversy was the dead members of the cult only covered from head to leg, and the sneakers were peeping out of the blanket. The cult chose the Nike Decades based off of its color scheme, and also because they were able to purchase them in bulk for a good price. Following the mass suicide, Nike discontinued the Nike Decades line. Years later, this model gained a sort of grim collector status, and people were able to purchase these on eBay and whatnot. Now this sneaker goes for like thousands of dollars, and it's a weird shoe. It's not something that you would look at for it being controversial, but the fact that it was linked with a mass suicide, it's definitely one of the most controversial sneakers out of everything I have shown on this list. So those are all the controversial sneakers that I have found during my research. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. New videos coming out soon. If you guys have any other controversial sneakers you want to point out, please drop them below in the comments section. I would love to interact with you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys later.